Hello students, this is Mr. Deaver, and this is the last video that I'm going to make for the year for our online learning for chemistry. It's very sad, but this is it. This is the last video you're going to watch. This is the last set of work. After this, it's all over. Alright, but it's not over yet, so let's get into it. And I'm going to show you how to use the titration simulation that we posted online, okay? I'm just going to walk through the steps that are on your worksheet. For step 1, for select type of reaction, we're going to do strong acid and strong base. Things actually get a bit more complicated if one of the acids or bases, or both of them, are not strong. So we're going to just keep it simple and have them both be strong. We're going to fill our burette with base. For select acid and base, and you may have to click this here to open this up, or close it if you want to. For our acid, we're going to use HCl. For our base, we're going to use KOH, or potassium hydroxide. And for our indicator, we're going to use phenolphthalein because that's the one that we learned about. Remember that phenolphthalein is clear in acidic and neutral solutions, and it turns pink when things start to become basic, and it can become darker pink if things are even more basic. All right, now before we actually start, we know the molarity of our acid, and we've added 25 milliliters of acid. So let's go ahead and write that down on our paper here, okay? So let's see, 0.179 molar, that's our known molarity. And our volume is 25 milliliters. All right, now we're going to add some potassium hydroxide. We're going to add our base here and try to neutralize this acid and get to the equivalence point. Because at the equivalence point, we have the same number of H plus ions and OH minus ions, and therefore we can use this equation to get the molarity of the base, which is our unknown. All right, now we have to do this carefully because if we just start dumping base in here, it's going to turn basic right away. So we have to add the base slowly. So I'm going to start by sliding this thing up a little bit. And I'm going to try to add 0.5 milliliters at a time. So if I click and hold it down, move it up a little bit, it'll add 0.5 at a time. You can see that it's not easy. Sometimes it accidentally goes up a little bit. You have to move it very slowly. Of course, if you accidentally add a little bit more, it's okay. But we're going to, whoops, like right there. So we're going to keep adding, and we really want to watch down here because we want to see when it starts to turn pink. Now, what's going to happen at first is that we're going to add some, and it's going to turn pink for a second, but then once it mixes, it's going to go back to being clear. And that signals that we're getting close to our end or equivalence point, but we're not quite there, okay? So let's keep adding 0.5 at a time, watching carefully to see when we start to see some pink. Still don't see any pink yet. We've added 8 milliliters, not there, right? This is just how titrations are. They're a slow and steady process. All right, keep adding 0.5 mils at a time, carefully, just waiting patiently and watching. Okay, up to 13, still nothing. 13.5, still looks like everything's clear. 14.5, 15, 15.5, 16, 17. Oh, did you see? Okay, so it turned pink for a second, but then it got mixed up and it went clear. So that means that we're getting close. We're not there yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 more milliliters just to get us a little bit closer to our equivalence point. So now we've added 19 milliliters total. And now I'm going to switch down to this. This is the drop-wise. So it's going to start adding a drop at a time. And a drop is going to be 0.02 milliliters. And so I'm still watching. Okay, I'm going to watch every time I add a drop to see, does it stay pink? Because whenever it stays pink, that means that we're at our equivalence point. So again, it's a slow and steady process, adding 1 drop at a time, waiting for it to stay pink. All right, still not there. We can see we were up to a total of 19.42 milliliters of base added. Just keep going, keep watching. All right. Nope. Still. Oh, look at that. It stayed pink. All right. So notice I didn't add another drop. I stopped right there. And I'm going to write down the amount of base that I added. 19.76 milliliters. 19.76 milliliters. Okay. Now, I do want to show you one thing, that it's so easy to add too much and get past your equivalence point here. All it takes is a couple drops, and notice that, ooh, now it's suddenly dark pink, and we've overshot it. We're past our equivalence point, and if we use this volume instead of the volume we had before, it's close, but it's not as close as maybe we want it to be. So we won't get the exact molarity that it is, okay? So just be careful. If you get that dark pink, it's bad. You have to start all over again. You didn't do it right, okay? And now we're able to use this equation to go and solve for that missing molarity of our base. So the molarity of our acid here, we can plug that in. It's 0.179. Okay, multiply that by 25, and that equals the molarity of our base times 19.76. All right, so I'm doing this live since every time you reset this, you get a different molarity for your acid. So 0.179 times 25 is equal to 4.475. Okay, that equals the molarity of our base times 19.76. We know that we are going to divide both sides by 19.76. That isolates molarity of the base all by itself. All right, and so molarity of base is 4.475 divided by 19.76. Let's do that in my little phone calculator that I got here real quick. So let's see, 4.475 divided by 19.76, that equals 0.23 molar. So let's plug that in. Actually, you know what? We can be even more precise than that. I'm going to keep it to 3 decimal places just because that's what the molarity of the acid is. And let's see if that is correct. 226 molar. All right, got it correct. You can also look at the graph to see that at the equivalence point, just how quickly our pH changes from acidic to basic. Okay, that's why all it takes is 1 or 2 drops to make a big difference. So you have to add your base super carefully. All right, this is the end. That is the end of our video. I'll go ahead and put our base in here right now. But this is the last video I'm going to make. So I hope that you found this online learning experience somewhat helpful. And it's not the same as being in school, but hopefully you got something out of it. And I hope that everyone has a good summer.